I'm Christy Fisher, president of Kirkwood Community College. We're proud to once again partner with the Iowa Ideas Conference. I hope you walk away with several new ideas and valuable partnerships. The same kind of partnerships Kirkwood has with regional employers, industry leaders, and communities, where we help build a workforce pipeline that strengthens our economy and prepares Iowans for the future. Enjoy the conference. Thank you.
Insurance isn't our only passion at UFG Insurance. We're dedicated to supporting the communities where we live and work. We proudly offer our employees paid time off to volunteer. Their work is making a positive difference across the U.S. UFG's Go Beyond Award is presented to one employee annually for exceptional community service. Striving to deliver on our promises is more than what we do. It's who we are. For a company promising community support, think UFG.
All right. Hello, everybody. My name is Megan Woolard, and I'm the Johnson County reporter with the Gazette, and I'll be our moderator for today's session. I was wondering if each of our panelists would mind introducing themselves to kind of start off our conversation.
I'll kick us off. Michelle Sutton. I am the executive director for Nami-Lynn County and the outreach coordinator for 211 of Iowa.
Yep, and I can go next. Hello, everyone. My name is Lemetra Murdoch. I am the executive director at the Multicultural Family Center here in the city of Dubuque.
Hi, I'm Carol Lilly. I am the state coordinator for the Main Street Iowa program. We are housed as part of the Downtown Resource Center in the state government agency of the Economic Development Group.
Thank you all for being here. Can you guys talk a little bit more about what the process looks like to connect with the community members that your guys' organizations all serve?
Oh, sure. I'll jump us off. At Nami-Lynn County, our connection really begins with visibility and trust. We're intentional about where we show up. We're going to things where people are already gathering, schools, health fairs, community events, those kinds of things that make visibility for us. And luckily, NAMI is a pretty trusted name in the mental health world. So when people are struggling, we try and make it easier for them to approach us. We offer some safe peer-led groups that people can come and feel seen and understood. So it's really engaging those communities, making them feel comfortable to come in. For 211, it's more removing those barriers, making sure that you can reach us 24/7, whether it's online, by phone, making sure that we're not just a number, but we do have those resource navigators that can kind of do warm handoffs and just not just kind of, oh, here's a list of numbers, here you go, dumping it off, of just really engaging the community, tabling events, kind of doing that same thing of being out in the community as well.
Yeah, and I can chime in. So again, my name is Lemetra Murdoch. I'm the director at the Multicultural Family Center. And the mission statement at the Multicultural Family Center is that we are a safe and welcoming space of belonging for cultural exchange, celebration, and education. We are a space where everyone is valued and supported. And because we thrive on that mission statement, a lot of our community members, they feel compelled and comfortable to come to the Multicultural Family Center for a safe space, for resources, to connect and engage and just have community time, to get the support that they need. Here at the Multicultural Family Center, we empower families to reach their potential. We do that by operating under our 4 pillars. So we have 4 pillars of programming. One is like our teen programming, where we engage with our teens. We have after school programming, teen hangout. We also do homework help. We're now establishing currently a TLC, a Teen Leadership Council, where we're teaching our teens about leadership in our community and serving and civic services and things like that. And we're also teaching them about like voting, like for who's going to be the president, the vice president, who's going to be the treasurer, who's going to be the operations manager, and how to work together to reach those common goals. So we offer things like that in our teen pillar. College tours, trade school opportunities, just opportunities for them to learn what those next steps are in life and to have fun doing it. We take them to different types of field trips in the community, places and things that, maybe they haven't had a chance to do yet. And here at the Multicultural Family Center, we are focused on removing barriers. So everything that we offer is free to our community members that participate. And we also have our adult pillar, which is a pillar where we focus on economic mobility, employment opportunity, upskilling, education, home ownership, financial literacy, parenting classes or support, just all of those things that parents in our community need. We also are in the process of opening a food pantry in October. This is October, yeah. So October 25th this month, we will be addressing the needs in our community because this area that we're in is kind of a food desert. So we want to be able to be a support for families in that way. And we also have another pillar of our cultural events and celebrations where we celebrate with and not for various communities and cultures in our community and identities. Just last night, we had for our heritage, our Spanish Heritage Month, we had I'm gonna say it right, Unidos Dubuque, Unidos en Vale. So we had in Dubuque Inuitos, which is Dubuque United in Spanish. They led the group. So that's what we do. We celebrate with and not for. We sponsor, we provide the space and, all the things that they need, but they come in and they share their culture with the community. And it was a party. They taught us about different types of dances, cultural dances and music and where it came from and where it originated. And they taught us how to do it, and everybody was up on the dance floor doing salsa and merengue.
I'm really jealous I missed this party.
On Facebook and our web page on our website. I mean, it's fun times, and it's great to just be able to bring the community together and learn about different cultures and things like that. So that's what we did last night, but we do this throughout the year. And that's just one of our pillars. And our last pillar is our family pillar, where we focus on the family as a whole, the parents, the children, the grandparents, the aunts, the uncles, the guardians. And we have events that focus on helping remove barriers for them as well. We had a community baby shower here before, where we removed barriers for parents who were expecting or had kids that were under the age of 5, or we gave away free car seats and playpens and bath sets and just all the things. And we don't do all these things on our own. We connect with community partners, other organizations in the community. So let's just make sure that we give that acknowledgement that we are about community and unity and bringing everybody together. And that's how we're able to engage the community, is that we partner and collaborate with other organizations to invite community members into our space for a great time, educational opportunities, and cultural exchange.
Hi, I'll chime in next. I mean, I think we part of what we do, it kind of be a great segue into things that we accomplish through our Main Street group. But really, it's that creating that place where those events and activities happen, where community members can gather. That's a lot of what we do. But really, to initially connect with communities, usually they're reaching out to us looking for some sort of funding. So that's our first point of contact. And then we take it from there, kind of trying to meet communities where they're at. We tend to work with local organizations to help them build the communities themselves, and work within the framework of what we call the Main Street approach, which I can talk about a little bit later too. But really that outreach is going to the communities, being out and visiting. We support all the downtowns across the state through the Downtown Resource Center, specific resources that we have available through walkarounds, assessment visits, just really trying to help the community understand how they can use public-private partnerships to advance the community overall and provide locations and opportunities for people to gather, for people to feel like they belong within the community. That's a huge component of the outreach too, is making sure that we have a broad-based level of support at that community level. We similar to outreach programs too, as far as social media. We speak at conferences, newsletters. All of those types of things are ways that we really try and connect with people that are interested in advancing their communities. In particular, in creating a downtown environment where community members can gather and kind of be that. We like to equate it to a home. If you think about where people hang out and gather, if you think about your home, it's either your kitchen or your living room. Well, that's what downtown is to a community, is that living room or that kitchen where people hang out and gather. So creating that opportunity for people to do that. That's what we do.
I'd love to talk a little bit more about this idea of, partnerships and like how are we able to create effective partnerships between organizations that you all work with to, kind of serve the community in the best way possible?
You have got to learn to play well in the sandbox with other organizations. First and foremost, it's kind of been nice to see a shift over the past, even just couple years, but decades previous, where it was very much, this is our niche, don't play in our territory, we're not going to play with you, we're not going to collaborate. And it's been beautiful to see, especially over the last couple of years, like I said, to see nonprofits and agencies and government and everybody is really collaborating with one another. I think we're all realizing there's enough need out there for all of our agencies to exist and to collaborate. And one agency may have better knowledge, better resources than one than the other. So I think that's probably the most important point that I'll soapbox on. It really is about just playing well in the sandbox with others. We don't need to be territorial. We need to lift up each other because that's how we're going to succeed through this kind of gnarly time we're living in.
Yeah, that's a great point. I like to piggyback off of that. So at the Multicultural Family Center, it is a nonprofit organization. However, we have a great partnership with the city of Dubuque. I call it a great like song and dance, So the Multicultural Family Center has been led by our phenomenal board since the beginning of time. It's just been such a need in the community that has expanded to where we are today, from this small group community organization to being this great organization that has partnered with the city. So the city, they provide the staff, the building, our custodians, IT support, and then the board. I work closely with a board of about 12 various community members who share their time, talents, and treasure with us, and they build the programs. They do the fundraising and the grant writing. They write the policies. They do the financial management. And they do the marketing. So they do all of the inner work, and the city provides like that outer structural support for the nonprofit. So like she's saying, playing together is very important for identifying strengths that each organization has, as well as similarities, so that we could bridge those gaps, right? And we could build those bridges to working together as a community to serve the people and that needs our support and our resources. At the Multicultural Family Center, one thing that has been an increase is people coming into our facility for support. They're in a crisis, whatever that looks like, whether their housing is in jeopardy or, their family is just facing some type of struggle and they just need help. It's not a 911 call. It's just, I need somebody. And they will come into our facility, into our organization for that support, and having those partnerships and those networks, being able to know, like, we may not be the expert in this area, but I know someone that is. Let me get their card. Let me connect you with, I just met with someone last week. Let me connect you with, with Carol. Let me connect you with Michelle and guide them to where they get that support. And that's how those relationships are built, because guess what they're going to do next time they're in a crisis? They're going to come back here because they know that we have the answers, or we can lead them to where they can find the support that they need, that resource. So those partnerships are very, very essential.
And those warm handoffs mean so much, to actually be like, hey, this is the person you're contacting, instead of here's a number, carry on.
Absolutely. Definitely. It's relationship building, and it's bridging gaps, because now we're both helping one individual, the same person. or family. So yeah, it definitely helps to build that reputation, those relationships, that continuity of care. And it shows unity amongst the organizations for our community to feel more supported and safe when they are in need or in a crisis. So
Yeah, I agree 100%. That's kind of where we come in and approach it too. Our organizations don't need to be everything to everybody. We just have to help connect people with the organizations that can provide the resources that they need. One of the things that we do when we come in for a community visit is we do a partnership meeting where we ask the downtown group, whoever's focusing on creating that sense of place for the community, to invite area partners that they work with on a regular basis, and some that they don't. And then we look for mission alignment. I think you mentioned mission earlier too. It's where do our missions align and what are our goals and what's the crossover there? Because as soon as we can identify ways that we can work together and like you said earlier, lift people up and lift our other agencies up that are doing those good work, then we can focus on where we can work together to make the community stronger. So I think we all have had some really good results in working in that capacity.
Yeah, thank you all for sharing that. It's really interesting to kind of think about how that all works. I'm a bit curious too about each of your organizations kind of serves a wide variety of different people, different kind of entities you're working with. How do you make sure you're able to kind of serve whoever may walk through the door that and connect them with the resources that they need, or just the community, get them a part of the community as well?
I'll chime in because I think we're a little different in because we're a statewide support system. So we go out to the communities and provide that support whenever we can in each of the communities in which we work. But once we're there, that's when we're again bringing all those different stakeholders and those groups together to make sure that we aren't missing anyone, or we aren't making one group rise, more than another, and that type of thing. But I feel like a lot of what we do is really reacting to the needs within the community, and identifying what those are is a big part of that community visit. Is really understanding what's happening at the ground level to be able to provide the services that then we do in that technical assistance form.
yeah, and I could chime in as well. And I always say the name Multicultural Family Center because it's in our name. So we are a welcoming, safe space of belonging. And one thing that is underlying in our mission that we don't say, but it actually is a result, is because we provide that sense of belonging for every community member, no matter what cultural or identity group you identify with. We focus on belonging, which reinforces to our community members that they belong here in Dubuque, not just so much at the Multicultural Family Center, the MFC, but in Dubuque or in Iowa, because we see you, we celebrate you, and we want to learn about your culture. Like I just keep going back to our event last night because I'm the director here, and I know they think directors are supposed to know it all, but I don't. I'm not from that cultural background, so it's actually a great opportunity to learn about various cultures that's here in Dubuque that I may not even be aware that live here, and that have an identity here. And the fact that we create a safe space to celebrate them and highlight their culture in this moment in time, it really resonates, and it speaks to our community members' hearts. It speaks to the family. And it speaks to their culture, and it lets them know that they belong, and that we see them and we celebrate them and we want them here. So retention is really, because again, I am a city employee. So my vision, it expands beyond the nonprofit to the local government, right? And one of my focuses is to help community members thrive and reach their full potential, and to know that they do belong here in Dubuque. So another way that we get to talk to people of various cultures, is my point as I was going to, was we have these devices here called Pocket Talk, and it's an automatic language interpreter. So we have people that come in from various cultures that don't speak English, that need our help or have questions or just need resources. And we pull out that Pocket Talk. They speak in their native language, and it'll automatically read out in English to me. And I'm like, oh, okay. And then I do the same. I speak in English, and it'll automatically translate to whatever language that they have. We've had community members that come to our events that don't speak English, but the event is in English. So we will provide them with these Pocket Talks, and they could just they will put on like headphones or just have it kind of low, and it will translate what the event moderator or administrator is saying, and they can be able to hear and understand and be a part of the event, even though it's in another language. So we try to be very intentional.
It's so handy.
It's very handy. We have a drawer full of them at our place. So we try to be very intentional and make sure that we are able to communicate with each community member that walks through the door. Those Pocket Talks, you can just put in whatever the language is, or just put it up and it'll, just identify that language.
Way easier than my Google Translator.
So we're able to communicate with different community members in that way too, when they don't speak English as a first language. Yeah.
Sorry, my mind's still blown on that. And I'm thinking of all the times where I've had to pull out my Google Translator and look completely incompetent. That would be very handy. I can kind of go for at Naumkeag County. We build our programs by listening. We have a lot of signature programs throughout NAMI National that are offered. But when you get down to the local affiliate level, each NAMI kind of holds something different. Like NAMI Dubuque, they have an amazing connection program that actually goes into the jail. I would love to get that implemented here. But again, it's really working to actually fill a gap, not replicate. Especially, I know here in Cedar Rapids, we're pretty nonprofit rich around here. There's a lot of organizations that have their niche, that have their stake of claim. So I've only took on this Naumkeag County role. I think we're in 4 months now. So it's been a really kind of taking the time to assess where we can make the most good. I don't want to just kind of go out there and be like, this is where we are, we're here, let's do stuff. No, I want to work with other agencies. I want to see, where those gaps are really needed. Everything through Naumkeag County is peer led. That's kind of the beauty of that we do through all NAMIs. It's not a place for people to just find information. It's connecting, it's trauma informed, it's being culturally responsive and providing those spaces where people, no matter their background, no matter what, ethnicity, any of that stuff matters, you feel safe, you feel welcome, you feel respected. That's kind of the support, educate, advocate essence of Naumkeag County. For 211, we kind of ensure, inclusive through constantly updating the database. We have multiple languages that you can call in and get that information read back to you and have a translator to do those things. We're kind of on a push of we're making sure that you can easily access it. The QR code's being pushed out. When it usually was, you could only call 211. We want to make sure you have that database on at your fingertips. Some people don't want to call. If you do call, it's nice to get that personal touch with somebody, to be able to connect you with those navigators, to be able to be on the phone. And every one of them, they have some training to be able to be compassionate when those people are calling for resources. It's tried to be made very user friendly. So a high school student up to, an elderly person, to agencies can get on the platform and be able to find information that they need. Everything's zip code specific. So it's a way to connect that makes you feel comfortable, that isn't stiff, that can really be that starting point to really get you to the resources that you're going to. I think it's just kind of building a safety net for people. So you have that platform that you can go to. And again, having those agencies that you can refer to when you're not the expert. Despite what she said, I do know everything. So, but it's important to know your strengths, your weaknesses of okay, this isn't my niche. I'm gonna cause this person more harm giving them wrong information. Let me hand you off to this person specifically at this agency, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah. Megan, if I can add a little bit to kind of what we do too. We're very focused on providing resources in 4 specific areas through the Main Street, in our Main Street work. We look at the design of the community connections, of how downtown fits in, the look and feel of the community, Does it have safe crosswalks? Is it a long enough time period to get across the street? Do you have flowers? Is it beautiful? Are there buildings that are falling down? We really kind of take a look at the atmosphere and creating that place where people want to live and where want to be. We also look at the businesses, and we really try hard to help young entrepreneurs and old entrepreneurs, anyone who's willing to take that risk. Working with some of those like home-based businesses that are maybe trying to jump into that next level. How can we create opportunities for them to learn from each other, to create cohorts, to maybe do pop-up shops in some vacant spaces? So how can we match availability of location to potential businesses that may want to start off and grow, and then providing those resources through that business improvement or that economic vitality side. So we kind of look at that holistically. And then also, what do we do to bring people downtown, to bring awareness to who's here and what's here? So those events that we do, they might be big festival type events, or it might be a smaller event like a shop hop or something like that, just to get people experiencing more of things that are happening in their community and working with the community themselves to create those opportunities and develop those resources locally.
Yeah, and I wanted to add to that as well. When you asked the question about how we communicate with various community members, and I know we talked a lot about resource sharing and things like that, but we also, like Michelle was saying, that trauma-informed care, right? We also like to meet people where they are, because oftentimes people come into our organization and they may not need a resource at that moment. They just may need to be heard. And everybody who walks into the Multicultural Family Center is greeted with a warm welcome to the Multicultural Family Center, like they are seen. And when an individual family come in and they just need someone to talk to, we are prepared to stop what we're doing to meet that individual and family where they are and just active listen, not so much to solve problems or even have all the answers, but to give them a safe space to share what they're going through, their experiences, and just to know that they are heard. That right there is very pivotal also when people are in need and when we're communicating with our community.
So huge. And it is really hard, especially in our field, not to want to solve everything all the time of like, I know exactly how to fix the situation you're in. And it is, I'm so glad you brought that up, because it really is such a good point, especially in our field and the community that we kind of deal with, of really just approaching them just like, I'm here to listen. Like, let me just give you 5 minutes where you know and feel like you are the only person in the room that matters right now. A lot of the times that it's obviously not going to solve anything, but the difference that can make on that person's mood, on their plan that they come up with, can mean make or break the whole situation.
We even find that in our field as well, because we have these people that are working on that community development, and they're working with volunteers, and they're trying to identify who else is going through this at the same time as I am and experiencing the same frustrations, and just being able to connect those community leaders with other communities that are doing the same work and having the same struggles. That it's a huge part of just the mental health aspect of continuing on for the next day and the next day and the next day.
Yeah, I find it really interesting because you all work in very different fields that all kind of relate to community support, but you all have talked, each of you has mentioned, something to the line of like individualized support, whether that be for a community, a specific person, and making sure your response is tailored to their specific needs, the community specific needs. How do you figure out what their specific needs are and then go about the best route forward?
Listen.
Yeah.
Just listen. Don't approach it as the professional. I look very nice today. Normally I am just kind of casually tailored. Like, I don't want you to feel like executive, stiff, counselor, whatever, hat I'm wearing at that time. I want you to feel like if you saw me down the road, you can just lay your life out and feel comfortable about it.
Yeah, I think Michelle said it. Just listening, just understanding where they're at. And if you're the one talking all the time, then you're coming in telling them what you think you should do or what they need to do. It's that relationship building that is such a key component to build that trust, so they can really share what the needs are within the community overall.
Absolutely. Yes, Carol. The listening, like the not talking so much. We have two of these and one of these for a reason. We need to do double this and less of that, right? And so even leaning into that awkward silence, that we feel
I love being
humanly
awkward silence.
compelled to just feel, right? No, because sometimes that community member may need time to process. And we don't want to fill that space with our ideas, like Carol said, or what we think you should do, or how we see it. Like, lean into those awkward silence moments because they are powerful. It feels weird, but it's monumental in the moment. And another thing that I think is very powerful is also being relatable, right? Like, you're not like you're the only one that going through this. So yeah, like no, I get it, and being transparent with boundaries, sharing maybe an experience that you have or that you've experienced, and how you were able to navigate through that. Because when people feel like they can relate to you, because like you said, Michelle, we're dressed all nice, we're at these computers, and we're all, and people, they have a disconnect with that. Here they are coming in real life. But what we have to connect with them is letting them know that we live in real life too. And I know that this persona that you're seeing here at work is that, but I'm living real life too. And I get it. I understand. And we hear you. And I think that, in fact, I know that bridges a lot of gaps, and it brings that connection like Carol brought up, so that person can see you as a person too, and not just as that lady that worked at the MFC.
Right, like be allowing yourself to be vulnerable, that you are not that perfect know-it-all person. I joke regularly. I'm usually a hot mess express. I'm running things, I have a million things going on. And like that's okay. No, nobody actually has it all together. And if somebody comes into me for support, I don't always have it all together anyways. It's all right, but we will get through this. What do you need to vent? I like really having that be kind of the starting off point whenever in my previous role at Crisis Center, one of the first questions I would always ask is, right now, my role, do you need me to listen? Do you need me to help you problem solve? And then we can go from there. If you want me to help kind of give you some step-by-step guidance on this, totally here for it. But if you just need this moment to vent about whatever nonsense that was going on in your world, I'm here for that too, but let me know.
I want to transition a little bit to talk about something maybe not as fun, but sort of the fiscal or financial side of community support. Would each of you mind giving like a brief background of how your organization is funded and, kind of how that all works?
I can start. So as I've mentioned before, the Multicultural Family Center is a nonprofit organization. So we do not make a profit off all of the wonderful things that we offer the community. But what we do, like I said, I work closely with a phenomenal board. I mean, they are very dedicated to our mission. They're dedicated to the community and being servant leaders. So they are very intentional. We have a committee that's on our board. Well, our board is divided into 5 different committees, and one of them is our development committee. And she is very intentional. Marlene is very intentional with going out into the community and building those relationships, those partnerships with different financial institutions like banks and credit unions. And she was very creative in being innovative with room sponsorships here at the MFC. Just new ways that we can get income, where we now have room sponsorships here. We have the Dupaco main space where we have our biggest events. We have the Green State kitchen. Our kitchen is the Green State kitchen for 5 years, and they give us so much money to be sponsored here for those many years. We have the Safe Foods living room where people come to meet at our fireplace and just have coffee and have more and less formal meetings. We also have our Kendall Hunt computer lab where our community members and our teens come in to do things at the computer, whether it's play Roblox or, work on their resume or looking for jobs and things like that. So our board is very creative and very intentional on ways that they can bring income into the center so that we're able to output those services and those programs to our community members for free. And all of our events, we try to make sure that we have food. We feed. We believe that some of the best relationships and connections are made at the dinner table, right? So we serve our community foods and different types of cultural experiences through food here at the MFC, and we're able to do that through donations and grants and sponsorships that our board is very intentional with seeking and bringing into fruition.
As part of state government, we're beyond that type of fundraising for ourselves. That's a whole other group of people that are involved in that. But what we do is we provide technical assistance to our local communities because our programs are nonprofit organizations at the local level. So we help them identify sources of funds, how to tell their story, how to use data and factual information, and then personalize that to be able to make a convincing appeal to support the organization and their mission and their efforts. We talk about things that are within their control, the investment drives that they do, the sponsorships, a lot of the things that Lemaitre talked about. But then we also talked about things that are out of their control. You can't control if a grant exists or doesn't exist, or what that cycle might be, but identifying how they can take advantage of those things that are out of their control, but still could provide that value to the organization to help them continue with their mission.
Well, it's good I'm last because I hate finances. I am new to the running of the nonprofit world. I've worked in them, and then I came from government role prior to this, so we're learning. It's a learning process. The world of how finances work in the nonprofit world is a learning curve. We'll say that. So Namiland County, they actually went almost 2 years without an executive director, and we're completely volunteer led to kind of be that fiscally responsible, not kind of knowing strategically where we're going to go, what we're going to do. So they just ran purely volunteer based for a couple of years. So now that we've got kind of leadership in place and we're shifting from a survival mode of really being intentional and growing in specific places and being mindful of our dollars. Because again, it's a nonprofit. Most of, at least for Namiland County, most of ours are, just kind of simple fundraising efforts, whether it's just a community event that we do, our NAMI walks. We did a little Ray Gun t-shirt fundraiser. So it's those ways, grants and all of those are good, but you never want to rely on one funding stream is something that I'm absolutely learning in all of this. It's so important to show that you can be adaptable of, hey, these grants ran out, but we've got people that can invest over here. We have this regular event that's going on. What's something else we can do to maybe perk things up a little bit and being really creative in what you're going to do. In times of high demand, I think that's probably the most important thing is to be adaptable, to look in places that you wouldn't really think to look into. And you might be surprised where connections and funding streams have come from just in conversations with people. I've had people be like, oh, I'm going to go ahead and donate some money after just simply talking with you. If you're passionate about it, especially in our world, people kind of like to give money if they know what you're doing has a purpose, if there's a mission to it, if it matters, so many people, and you want to have the data to show it. If this is why we're doing it, this is what our plan is, this is why it matters, this is what your money is going to go to, not just to whatever plan. And it's hard with nonprofits because it's hard to get investors to understand the importance of just funding administrative, like daily operations, whether that be the salaries and things like that. Most people, I don't want to pay for your salary. I want to pay for a program. So you kind of have to get creative in how you phrase it to potential investors and donors. So it's not just, I need this person's salary paid for this long. I need this kind of insurance covered for that long. So it's a learn.
Yeah, and to add to what Michelle's saying, one thing I didn't mention is that we even have community members who pour back into our organization. So like when we have events and programs, home ownership, opportunities they can learn about how to become homeowners and college fairs for their kids, where we walk them through. We're actually, planning a camp now for our teams and their parents to walk them through the process of identifying an area of study, to enrolling and applying for financial aid and enrolling in the school. So when we have those kind of opportunities, they feel very grateful, and they may give, you know, a cash donation at the desk. This is just, it may be $10, $20, $5, but they're pouring back into our organization because they see the great work that we're doing, and they see the return, right? And it's benefiting them and their families as well, in their goals and their potential and empowerment. So not only do we have community organizations that's pouring into our organization, we have the individual community members and families as well that's pouring back into it as well to help us.
I think to tap into something that Michelle said, one of the things that we do when we're coaching organizations on that fundraising piece is identifying that baseline budget. What do you need to have just to be in existence? And then that stretch budget. And taking it right to the ground level, to the volunteers that are doing the work. What do you want to accomplish? What tasks do you need to have happen between now and the end of the year, the end of next year, as you're creating that budget, or 2 years or 3 years, and identifying those dollars of what's necessary, and then kind of bringing that all the way up to the board level to let them know how much they need to fundraise for to accomplish those stretch budgets. And then it gives the organization something to talk about. These are the things that we're going to do, which is exactly what Michelle said. People want to know where their money is going to and what it's going to accomplish, and providing that training and coaching to help those organizations be able to do that is, I think, an important component, because oftentimes you're caught in that day-to-day stuff. It's not something that you're familiar with when you start with a nonprofit, and what does it really look like, and how do we make this all work? And you know, we have a treasurer that's a volunteer treasurer, and really just keeping the ball rolling.
Love my treasurer.
The foundational elements, and providing that education so that organizations and people know what those tools are and what they need to do with them.
Thank you all for those answers. I know money's never the most fun to talk about. I will also let our audience members know, if you have any specific questions for any of our panelists, feel free to type that in the chat and we'll ask those questions.
Within reason. Keep in mind it's a Friday, people.
I wanted to ask a bit about, you all kind of talked about, you know, just the administrative things that go on, the day-to-day sort of monotony that comes in with the job. How do you kind of keep your organization's mission at the forefront, even when it comes to just these day-to-day tasks that come with running any organization?
A lot of caffeine, a whole lot of caffeine. But I think it's important just to always remember your cause, and in order to get to your cause, to get to your end goal, those day-to-day things have to happen. That appropriate planning, that, you know, the tedious things are what make those great plans come to fruition. So when we were talking before this thing even kicked off about my goal of making sure all my emails done, like, as tedious as that is, I'm sure in some of these emails over here, there's probably a couple really good events that I'm going to need to be going to. So just remembering that there is sunshine in the monotony, as terrible as it can be on some days.
And honestly, I can't even say it's monotony on this end. It's every day is different, you know, and as long as we keep that mission at the forefront of our why, you know, everything you do will align in that mission. I'm very intentional with going over this with my team. You know, when we're having our meetings, hey, what's your mission? What's your spiel on the mission? You know, you don't have to say a word for word, but let me hear how you convey our mission to community members and partners that come through the doors. And I want people to bring themselves to the MFC. Our staff, I want them to be themselves here. I don't want them to sound like a robot. We're at the Multicultural Family Center. No. How would you say it? Now, how would you say it? Same mission, same purpose, same goal, but it should sound like you. Because again, we are a space of belonging. So we want everybody to be themselves here, but everything should line up with that mission. But our day here is so unpredictable because we're like a community center, and we just don't know. We can have our to-do list. I have one all the time, but I say 30 minutes into my day, it's off. You know, I'm not on it. because there's other things that needs to take place. But like Michelle said, checking those emails, though, those is some mainstays and some things that's foundational that has to take place in order for everything else to continue to thrive and to move forward. A lot of times, if we're not in the know of what's going on outside of these walls, so that we're able to help serve our community, then we become stagnant. And then you just kind of get in your own bubble. So we have to just make sure that we are still keeping those communications outside of these walls going. And that's why it's so good that we have phones and emails and Teams and virtual meetings like this, where it's like still be here physically, but mentally and in the moment, I am out here with you guys having a conversation and telling you all about the great things that we get to do at the MFC. So yeah,
inviting us to your cool block party that you had last night.
Everybody is always welcome, and it's free.
You're like, I did not get this memo with the preview that we had. I'm very disappointed.
Yeah, so but it's very important that that we keep those administrative duties done because, like, payroll. I mean, all those things, they have to take place to keep people here, right? Just to make sure that the organization as a whole is functioning as a business. But also that we are in the know of what's happening in the community that we're serving.
I think kind of to get to the granular level, we also try and stay mission focused. We talk about our core values of our agency and those types of things. But we have a weekly staff meeting once a week, and we talk about what we're doing in the communities, what communities need from us. Just really have we follow kind of that approach, and we think about it from a framework and how are we maintaining the general framework of what we're trying to do, but individualizing it within each community to meet the needs of that particular organization or that town in that given moment. So just trying to stay true to the framework, I think, beyond the day-to-day stuff that just has to happen, the emails, the outreach, and those types of things. There just has to be that balance. When we get down to that community level, we really focus on that street time, like we call it street time. You need to get out and you need to be working with the people that are that you are here to serve on a regular basis. 20% of your time needs to be that interaction, working directly with the people that you serve, and out of the office, not in the office. When you're in the office, save some time for those administrative things. But again, finding that balance. So we try and give that percentage of time too, and really focus on that we're not straying one way too far or another beyond our framework.
So we do have a question from the audience. Can you talk a bit about volunteer and donor relations? What kinds of information sharing and celebrating do you do to give those folks that you need so much love that they all deserve?
Oh, I'm so jumping in on this because this has been my crusade the past couple of weeks, especially with our facilitators, the lead our peer support groups of when they are not able to come, or when there is turnover, which there inevitably is with any sort of peer-led group. Life does happen, admittedly. Things are always going to happen. But to really being intentional of making sure that our facilitators know their value of we could not do this without you. You have got to know how important you are when you are not able to commit to that. Are we giving you an environment that's like, that's okay. We got your back. We got plenty of other people in the back pocket we can fill your space with, so they don't kind of feel that extra burden. But even just simple thank you cards, or hey, I'm going to have lunch or some dinner ready for you guys before you guys have this group. We got feedback. They like the snacks and the Mountain Dew that I usually had in the fridge. And there was one week they came in and they let me know. They're like, it was not there. And I'm like, noted. So those simple little things of just making sure that your volunteers and the people that are really at the ground level of making your organization work know their value, know their importance, and don't feel taken for granted. Because again, they're volunteers. They don't have to be there. Same with our facilitators. They don't have to do this. So it's up to us as the organization to be like, you matter. This is why you matter. What can we do to support you if things are not successful? If you need changes, kind of see some areas that we may be blind to, letting them know that they have a platform they can say that of like, give me the feedback, give me the hard conversations. Let's have those and make them better. So we make it a good community and environment for you and for others that are coming.
Yeah, and just to add to that, we have a volunteer DBQ platform where we have also with the city, because again, we are city staffs. We have a department within, a division on department, which is the Community Service and Outreach Coordinator. And she's really intentional with creating opportunities for people to volunteer, whether they're inside the MFC or outside the MFC. And ways that we are able to appreciate our volunteers is, like Michelle said, sometimes it's as simple as just saying thank you. We also give them they have like these special volunteer DBQ t-shirts that help them stand out from the crowd to show like, hey, that they're in service. And we also have in our budget, we have a volunteer appreciation budget where we can create an event or program or potluck or meal, some type of way that we can come together and we can show them appreciation in that way as well. So yeah, we're very mindful of that because at the MFC, we are a small but mighty team. It's only like 6 of us that do all of this great work. So we thrive in volunteerism, and the way that we can keep our programs and events going is through the efforts of volunteers, volunteer their time, talents, and treasures with us. And again, our board are volunteers also, where they volunteer their time, talents, and treasures to help us as well to get those goals going as well, and those events to the finish line. So yeah, we're very intentional with our volunteers.
I think it's important to remind them kind of why they signed up for what they're doing too. There was a fire, a passion, a desire, whatever the reason was, that they sought out our organization, whatever it may be, and chose that platform to give their time to. Sometimes that can get lost. So it's up to us to remind them, make it fun. Like United Way, they do a really good job of just that workplace environment fun. Like if they see the people that are actually employees, whatever, having fun, that carries over. Environment matters so much.
I think you tapped into a really good component there is that having fun. We focus on that a lot. Like you need to make sure that your volunteers are having a fun opportunity. But why are they volunteering? Everybody gets something. They need to fill their bucket, and they're filling their bucket in a different way. One may really just enjoy the aspect of getting away from what they do every day at work. And, they're a banker. That doesn't mean they want to be the treasurer. They maybe want to be the one that waters the flowers. I mean, just really getting to know and build those relationships to understand how those buckets get filled for those individuals, and then finding those opportunities within your organization to allow them to have that and to get that from your organization. But you're exactly right, Michelle. They reached out and they became a volunteer with whichever group for a reason. There was a passion. There was something that was ignited, reminding them too that you're still doing mission-based work and how their contributions are helping achieve that mission overall, I think is another key component. We did, and Volunteers of the Year, celebrations, those types of things are all things that we provide for all of our communities. We do a statewide awards program, and each community that participates specifically in the Matrix program is able to share Leader of the Year that gets recognized at the state level. So I think that's another important piece too, is, as you said earlier, saying thank you and recognizing them for what they do.
We've talked a bit about kind of the present and what all your organizations are currently doing. Where do you hope we go next in the future? What are your hopes, dreams, ambitions, all of it?
I think for mine, especially with Nomi County, because that's I was like 2-in-1 is my macro level, kind of broad base, and Nomi County is my very to my heart in my community kind of thing. And because of where we are, because we are in a growth space, I think our possibilities are endless. So I'm really excited. That's kind of why I took this position, because the idea of really building it into a staple in the community gives me goosebumps. I absolutely love that. So I think the future is really being intentional, first and foremost, making sure that we're not duplicating what is going on here, and finding where our niche is going to be, and making sure that we are a trusted source in our community, in our neighborhood. I think for 211, it's really just making sure that platform grows with technology, that people can access it in the way that they need to, that the information, and it's a lot of partnerships with agencies. It's kind of a two-way street. Database is only as good as the agencies that put their information on there and update it accordingly, as much as we do those follow-ups. But I think keeping in mind that you should always be fluid and flexible and be able to grow, not being rigid in what your agency may look like now. Always keep your missions and your core principles. But be able to kind of morph with the times and adjust and pivot, as needed.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I was thinking when you asked that question, it's a really great question. I'm thinking of like identifying gaps or where there is maybe some imbalances currently, and shifting, not so much shifting our focus, but just enhancing those areas that may need a little bit more support within the organization. And one thing that I'm thinking of is our adult programming and our family programming. So again, everything I think about is mission focused and within those pillars. And one thing that I've noticed, or that we've noticed as an organization, is that our reputation in the community is that we're more of like a teen center when we're a family center, because we do so much for our teens, but we want to do as much equally across the board for our adults and as well as our families. So my team and I has been very intentional with creating programs and opportunities for our families. Like last night, that was a family event. We had littles running around as well as grandparents, dancing, doing the salsa, and also it was beautiful. Check it out on Facebook. I kid you not, go on Facebook and check it out. And also like our adult pillars, just letting families know like, hey, when you need that support, there's a lot of people out here who just don't believe in themselves. Society has maybe beat them up, circumstances have maybe just discouraged them, and they don't quite know where to go to get that pick me up. I want us to be that here at the Multicultural Family Center for our adults, to help them with that economic mobility, to believe in themselves again. We know life out here, right? And when you have kids and you're always in survival mode, you kind of forget about your own hopes and dreams. You kind of forget about, I always wanted to be a nurse, and that dream just kind of got lost in the sauce of life, right? So I would like the MFC to continue down that path of helping people to reinvent themselves, to give them that safe space to be able to come in and explore, and to tap into those hopes and dreams again, not just as a conversation, but with actual momentum, where they can actually get the work done and reach those goals. So that focus on adult and family, I want to enhance those programs and opportunities here in the center. We got the teens and the culture on lock, right? But we want to make sure that our adult.
And bless your heart for taking on that one.
We want to make sure that we're intentional with assisting our adult community members as well as the families. We have a lot of untraditional families in the world, right? It's not so much just mom, dad, and kids. It could be grandparents, aunts, uncles, guardians, things like that are not identified as that. So we want to create that space they can come in and have family time. I'm thinking of an idea of doing like a what you call that, like a lip sync conversation, not competition, but show for families to come in as a family, grandparents all the way down to the babies, and they lip sync, do a performance, lip syncing, and or maybe something like Family Feud, something like that, where families can, and we have the audience, community members could be the audience.
Okay, if I don't get invited to Family Feud, I'm going to be very upset.
There's ways that families can come together to build those relationships. We do have a find and feed program right now in our department, where families can volunteer and serve to bridge gaps, and maybe if they're having issues with paying their water bill and their water bill is threatening to be shut off, they can volunteer at a rate of like $28, $29 an hour, and that time of volunteering together goes towards that bill. So we offer things like that, just building that family dynamic, that strong foundation for
That's
our
genius. That's totally genius.
Yeah, we're also working on an adopt a spot as well, where families can come together and they can identify a spot at a park or on a corner by their house, and they keep it clean, because people invest and commit to environments that they contribute to, right? So we also have that program that's coming out. I think it's actually I think it's actually in fruition now, where families can adopt a spot in their community to keep clean, and that's their area of focus. So yeah, we have all of these wonderful opportunities, but I want to help strengthen the family and the adult component here at the MFC.
Wow, you do have a lot of great programs and good things going on. I think from our aspect, I really want to make sure that we manage our growth in a way that we can still meet the needs at the current, our capacity is not outstretched. So manage the growth, the opportunities, the technical services that we provide, the outreach that we do, that we can manage it and continue to do everything that we do it well with high quality and results driven programming. So that would be just a focus for us to make sure that we just stay tried and true and keep plugging along and doing what we do and continuing to do it well. We serve all the communities across the state of Iowa. We target the Main Street program targets on select communities that apply to be part of our program. So we need to make sure that we're balancing the needs of the communities that don't have kind of maybe that strong ethic yet for that downtown community development to create that sense of place. Everything from creating the pride that you have within the community, kind of that you talked about, and in that the cleanup of a spot that you adopt, or those types of things. So I think that just making sure that we don't outpace ourselves too fast, that we stay tried and true to our mission. Of not only our agency, but help our local nonprofits that we serve also are able to stay true to their mission and accomplish what they want to accomplish without stretching themselves too thin.
Well, we are at time for today. I want to thank the three of you for participating. I think this was a great conversation. Thank you to our audience members that tuned in, and anybody that's going to watch this later this week, next week. But yeah, thank you all so much for participating.